Welcome, Dr. Kgosikhumo. Let's do that again.
It's not doctor, but go on.
Hey. Welcome to the podcast, Sibusiso Kgosikhumo. Today we have an optometrist.
Yes, sir.
On board. Before you introduce yourself, is there a difference between an optometrist and an optician? Can you just...
Yes. Definitely there is. There's an optometrist, there's an ophthalmologist, and there's an optician or a dispensing optician.
Okay.
Those are three different things, and confuse about buyer. Right. An ophthalmologist is somebody who does secondary eye care conditions and is able to do surgeries like operator, treats and manages things like glaucoma, jalo. An optometrist, which is what I do, is a primary eye health care guy. So it's the guy who will do your simple conjunctivitis, malwetse a more primary level. So I can't operate, for example. And I can also dispense spectacles. But an optician is somebody who basically just dispenses spectacles. So had the recipe to do with malwetse, jalo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the difference.
All right. No, welcome, sir, to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We're here to discuss careers.
Yeah.
And tell us about your journey, what are those stories about how you found yourself there, and then possibly also get into things like what opportunities are there. I believe those three areas. But yeah, first and foremost, how did you find yourself saying, I want to be Ngakaya Matlo?
Did I even find myself saying that?
That's the thing.
But first and foremost, let me say thank you for having me on here. Been looking at the lineup, the people that you've been having, for PJ, was Tab, I'm like, big names. I'm very undeserving of being here, but since you are a brother and a friend, I thought, you know what, let me do it. Once you gave me a call, I was flattered to be here. So thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Yeah. My name is Sibusiso Kgosikhumo, as you have rightfully said. My first vocation is I'm a dad. I like saying that everywhere I go. But over and above that, I'm an optometrist and a content creator. But you want to talk about optometry, I believe.
Yeah, we'll double on that.
Okay. So, I did not want to become an optometrist. Let's start there.
Okay.
But one of the first people that you had on the podcast, PJ Mpoeng,
yes,
is a cousin of mine, first cousin. His mom and my mom are direct sisters. So we come up from a family that has been very hard on education.
That's right.
And probably very stringent with respect to guy, right? I've always considered myself to be a creative, somebody who doesn't like to be tied down to one thing. But because gracefully I was quite good with math and my sciences, my mother, who was a teacher and senior management personnel, more education, always wanted me to go in a certain direction. As I was saying, my mother pretty much had a blueprint. All our parents, if I remember my uncle, Lenin boarding master, one of the strictest guys in the family. So it was education first, and you guys are probably going to become within the spheres of bongaka, engineer, those white collar jobs. And I don't blame them, because that was the key to success. That was the things you could have never told a parent back then, you want to become a YouTuber or bolo. My big brother was so good at football. He used to play for Mattis Bay and was the captain for Mattis Bay at some point. But he said, I remember my mom sat him down on some, decide if you want to be under my roof or you want to go play football.
Yeah, Modisa Kgosikhumo.
So because the things are not even balanced. I mean, having a roof over your head and choosing a career. So my mom was very hard-willed. I remember at some point we had a fight because I thought I would want to become a lawyer at some point because I felt I was very articulate and very opinionated. And I figured from all the choices I had then, becoming a lawyer was pretty much up my alley. And we had a big fight, I think to a point where Harabu Isana for like 2 weeks or so. Because the argument, I remember I'm bought rescue somebody who was a rapist. Because I know you're going to get so good at it that you're going to take people, you're going to bail people out. So bordering on morality and at the time, and her being my best friend, if I may say, I ended up finding myself Kelemo pre-med. So I went to go UB. I did the pre-medical program. I hated every bit of it. Like I remember, not that it's a bad program, but it wasn't for me. I remember the first week, I think I attended biology classes for like the first week, and I was like, I quit. I can't do this. It's just, I don't love it. I don't find myself wanting to live like this for the rest of my life. So I quit, but I didn't tell her because I remember sometime Geran taking a laptop because but was girl, and we used to play FIFA on it with the boys. Biology, because I was doing maths, chemistry, and physics. 2 years we passed our exams, and then we're supposed to go outside the country. Then the question is, go outside the country to do what? I remember I had a conversation with one of my friends, Dumelo. And I'm like, Dumelo, we can't do this, bro. We're not cut out for this. We need to find alternative programs that we could do. And we wrote down a couple of programs, the one on real estate management, and then a couple of life sciences. And I think optometry for me was the second choice after real estate. Then I didn't get into real estate, but got into optometry, and Dumelo got into real estate. Then we were whisked away. We went to the UK as friends. It was obviously tough, but because when you are born with talent the ability to do well with your studies, even when you don't exert a lot. I was that kid, saying, who would be the clown, saying, but then exam 94, 96, because I could probably grasp concepts a lot quicker than the other guys, which wasn't working in my favor because my mom was like, wow, you are born to do this. So we get to the UK, and luckily I went to Aston in Birmingham, and luckily for me, Aston in at the time. They were trying to condense the life and health sciences programs from 4 years to 3 years. Like, I was blown away because now it meant spending less time doing something that I would have done for 4 years, hating every bit of it. So I soldiered through. I remember year 2, I texted Dumelo, I want to quit, because he was in Oxford Brooks, so he was like the closest person in terms of family. So he was the guy I was talking to all the time. I tell him, you know what, I want to quit my course. I hate it. And he's like, man, come on, Homo, you're a talented guy. Just get it over and done with. Then we'll plan after this. Let me just get this done, and we can go back to Botswana. So fast forward 3 years, complete the course. Like I said, it was supposed to be 4 years, 3 years. I'm back in Botswana. Come back, and I think I stayed for like 2 months. First, I was tired. You can imagine doing something you absolutely despise for 3 years, and something very difficult at that. I took a break a bit, like DRM. Then after DRM, Dibora, yeah, so I loved the space. It was good to do hospital optometry. because you get to appreciate what working for the government is like, and also you get to see a great expanse of cases as compared to high street optometry or retail optometry, if I may put it. I worked for the government for a short stint, then applied for private sector. After working, I think it was probably close to a year, I suspect, I managed to get a job, private sector, and I worked there. And I think that's the part of my career that I absolutely love, because it then exposed me to a whole new world that I got to appreciate when I now connect the dots going backwards. Coming into private optometry, then we were in Resibanzi at the time, so we were able to apply for private practice licenses after 3 years.
Wait, this was your own gig, or
No,
was
no.
it you working?
I was employed.
Oh, I get you.
Komole. That's where I've got my very first private practice job.
That's
Komole
right.
Polole, yeah. So I came in, and ke le ngwana wa Botswana, ke tswa Serowe, allow me to speak for Bangwato re na le maitse o thata. So Bakwena absolutely loved me. So the business grew. It just catapulted to the skies. And I got to realize I'm a people's person, I'm entrepreneurial. So let me give it a go at having my own thing. But then again, I was unsure, because this was something I was not head over heels in love with. If you're going to run a business, you're going to be pulled apart. So you're going to need passion to kind of hold you down for the rainy days. You know what, this thing guy fan. So the only answer for me was partnership. Who do I partner with? So at the time, the iExpress group was doing amazing work. So I got approached by the iExpress guys. Hey, don't you want us to do some sort of partnership with respect to what you bring to the table in terms of expertise? And we've got tons of experience in the field. Let's get into a marriage. And it made sense to me. And at the time, I always thank Mpoeng, the guy you had here as well. I had a conversation with him. I was honest with him, like, Bon, here's the contract. Bafana Babare, this is what they want to offer me. Should I buy it or not? Judging with his experience in the financial space.
Yes.
And he was like, yeah, you know what? Take a bite, go for it. And I think after that conversation, I did, and worked my way up in that partnership to a point. Started off with a smaller stake, gradually growing to a very satisfying stake, to a point where now we have the clinics called Molepolole and the satellite practice Kotamach. Yeah.
So was your nyalo na ne buletswe buisana gore nya re tla tsama re buisana gore me re tla ngatha jana?
Well, of course, because you wouldn't want to be tied down more determined favoring. But over and above that, I think it was an issue, how well I grew the business, to how well we related with my co-partners. So it opened up opportunities for conversation. I still believe it still does now. Just that now what I love about high street optometry or having your own gig is that you can buy your own time, which is something that has gradually happened over the past few years post-COVID, where if you own your practice, you can always hire an optometrist, and then you're working there 60% of the time. Now you have 40% to actually do the things that you love.
I get you.
So I'm actually happy with how my life turned out, because now here I am with a career that I've managed to build the systems around over probably the past decade. And it gives me time. And it gives me time to do things that I actually now enjoy doing. And I believe that there couldn't be a much more sweeter spot for me. Yeah.
So o bua se Motswana se buileng a re o motshega kgarebe ke motsei wa yone. You know? No, but you started off with a hate relationship with what you were doing, and now it's come full circle and you've fallen in love with it.
Yes.
One of the greatest challenges that I've actually found, especially coming to that 60-40 discussion that you just mentioned, was that the minute you try to remove yourself from, something that you've built, the patient is na matlhame ha tshware ko pe ke batla tshwara ko ena Sibusiso ga go kwa tsisa bumang, because you've built that trust, because you've built that relationship with a person, now they always want to see your face. So how did you navigate those spaces where now you, the person, your personality precedes that of the practice?
I experienced that today, actually. One patient comes, and that's the thing with Village Optometry. These are not official names. Village Optometry or High Street. These are how I just choose to define it. Working I love it because I'm a very intimate person. I value relationships. I value connections. Moletse walks in today, is like, na ga ke batle motho na nthusa maloba ke batla ngwanake, and ngwanake being me, and this is at a day long gore ke mo molepolole ke theogetse a be go tenya me o teng a ba ra ke ro a bona. So I check molwetse and she's absolutely fine, like the guy before o mone sharpo sengwe se sharpo, but because o batla go bona ke nna ga itumele. And I always tell people gore healthcare is tshwana le kereke. You can go to a church, ha go sa re moruti o eleng gore wow connecta le ene, you won't feel like you've been to church. So I struggle with that. I struggle with that a lot because I want to slowly pull out, but there is the pull, not with respect to the vocation itself, but with respect to the people. But how rongwa wa rongwa as politics. So that how we do
o tla bole mang ha Batswana ba ri
so sometimes I'm compelled, I'll be home and you just get a call that hey, there are people who want to see you and you're forced to come.
No, definitely. For me in particular, it was a challenge because working in the creative space, not only are you just snapping pictures, you're creating memories. And these people trust you with their milestone days. Be it weddings, be it product launches, be it that moment, big hospital Ibula. If you miss that cutting of the ribbon picture, you might as well just chase her. So it goes far and beyond just saying. So now these people that you work with, then how much work do you put through maybe to try and say, maybe you teach them the culture, you build the culture, your organization, you inculcate, and then you leave yourself moribund?
Some of these things you cannot pass on. Like I always tell you, you've got a stellar personality. I don't think you could give it to anybody else. Like there are instances where you stand in front of people and you've wowed me. I know this interview is about me, less about you, but allow me. So just to drive the point home. Just to drive the point home. You have got an amazing personality, and I don't think anybody can embody that. So those are the jaws of being self-employed and being in vocations, especially service provision. Because service provision is more human to human than it is any other thing. I could sell this bottle of water in Dubai and the bottles are selling and I don't care as long as they're sold. But when it comes to services, people want to see you and you have to make peace with it. So that's what I'm still struggling with now. How do I spend time creating content which is a career that I've just started really monetizing. And how do I spend time at the office? Because there are times when people want me at the office. So we're kind of working on a schedule. I'm going to be at the practice, let's say 3 times a week. And if I'm at the practice 3 times a week, then I know that those patients, my assistants could always work that magic. Coincide.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Let's go back to Bongaka Jamatlo. I'd like to call it that for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Are there any derivatives under it, beyond the 3 that we discussed when we started?
No, I think those are the 3. Obviously, you then can spread it as far and beyond as you want. For example, I could choose to pursue educational or educative optometry, and then I'm a lecturer and choose to teach. I could choose hospital optometry, like where I'm not into either capitalizing the trade. You see as many people as you can, and you do outreaches, and there are district health management with the DHMTs. I could go into policy and do public health, and then work for Ministry of Health under the eye care departments and. But I believe that there are people who are born for those things, people who do them because they love to do them. Right. Like my partner loves optometry, and please, let's not get it twisted. I do a good job spanning, because like I said, when you're talented, you're just talented. But with my partner, he loves it. He sees his growth in the trade. He fusses over beautifying the trade. I foresee him teaching the trade and to inculcate the love for it. And that's him, Waban. But for me, it's high street optometry and nothing else. Yeah, but those are the 3, and you could just go delve deeper on those. Being an optician, an optometrist, or an ophthalmologist.
Oh, okay. Mike, what has been your experiences maybe in the world, in the industry out there, in terms of generally the healthcare situation in Botswana? Do Botswana really need to be taking care of their eyes, and stuff like that?
Of course. Allow me to quote the Bible: "The eye is the lamp of the body." Right. So if without, there's no foresight. I think it just means you have no foresight without any vision. Anything that you want, you have to first envision it. So sebonang. I also see this daily with my daughter. The amount of exposure that I give her, we tutor a lot from her surroundings with what she sees. So without a shadow of a doubt, eyes are very important, and you have to take care of them, because think about it. From the moment you wake up in the morning, your eyes are switched on until the time you go to sleep. Break unless another nap in between. So we're either writing at work, we're on our phones, we are computers talking to each other. So eyes are extremely important. And unfortunately, because of the size, I might want to believe they are probably one of the least looked after body organs. Yeah, like we don't do anything about it up until we have to do something about it. So that's one thing that I've realized. But gradually we are educating people, especially Batswana, having patients Batswana, we speak in vernac, and how re letha o raya eng, how re thaka o raya eng, how tlhalosa gore therijam mogolo ga itse gore o bua eng, wa bona. But how tlhalosa gore mo thakeng go rile o bona ha se o bo buisa mogolo ka Setswana wa go utlwa, wa bona. So I've got to realize gore I get a lot of repeat patients because ba bona ke le ngwana bone wa bona le ha ke kgalema gore ga wa tlhokomela matho, you had a growth on your eye that you've been ignoring, ke a bua ke re motsadi ke le ngwana gago, then that botlhaleja phala botswa phalaneng thing kicks in, where motsadi feels I can actually relate with this young man and I can trust them with my vision. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. We had a dentist the other day. The standard recommendation go every 6 months you need to come for a checkup. Do you guys have something like that also?
Yeah. The rule of thumb, they say 2 years. But for my patients, depending on what you're going through, or the problem that you have, they're different. I say to some, like with kids, I tell my patients, check your child's eyes every year. Because one is on the side of the graph where there are rapid changes happening. Between the ages of maybe 21 to 45, you don't have a lot of rapid changes going on. I could say come after every 2 years. So normally there are those yearly checkups or 2-year checkups.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you talked about your satellite office.
Yeah.
Is it just based
it goes to the issue in the decision makers in the offices. First and foremost, because of the population in Botswana, so they didn't want to create a Shark Tank situation where with the means I would be able to have 10 practices and then monopolize the industry. So one person should have one practice. But that was counterproductive with respect to entrepreneurship, because how build a business, you want to build to scale. That's when things start to make sense.
Of course.
So how at a level of self-employment where I only have some sami, then it doesn't match up to what other countries are doing. For example, you go to SA, you find a Toga Opticals or a Specsavers. These are guys that own in the region of 25 to 50 practices. And because of the scales and the economies of scales, they can be able to monetize and see real big profits.
Of course.
So, Botswana be na gore nya ngathang pile khaogana sentle mo le mongwe a nne le one. But as time went by, then we were allowed to have satellite practices. Tota under the narrative ya gore we are taking ditlamelo ko bathong, but it had to be within your region. So I could have a satellite practice. It's not a fully fledged practice, but we strive to give similar service because you don't want to be robbing Botswana of their hard-earned money without giving them quality or value for money. So you are allowed to open under a polyclinic to have a little office where you can offer those services. On a satellite practice, and you're allowed to go there just 3 times in a week. But I've got my ear on the ground that things are changing, that the government and the policymakers are now considering, for Botswana more especially, to allow them to grow beyond
just one
what they had, because they were literally clipping our wings. Yeah.
Is this thing just applicable for you guys in your industry or across the board with dentists in them?
Unfortunately, I'm not well versed with that, to be honest.
No, that's fine.
I just know in my space.
So this particular satellite office can only operate from one place.
Yes.
Satellite office in
Era to you a license for that place. But unlike I have a dentist friend, mobile dentistry, which is different from satellite optometry. Mobile dentistry is obviously where you can move the dental chair, go ya kae, e ya ko yang teng, and you can offer services in different spaces as long as you've got the capacity. I believe that should be a possibility in our space. Maybe it's just that we haven't really exhausted our options.
Had you not found these business partners of yours, do you think you would have jumped?
From the career?
No, from public practice,
of course,
to private.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course, I would have. It has always been the plan. You have to think in a capitalist way. How do you monetize what you're doing, and can it sustain you? Okay, maybe I might be wrong in saying you have to, because not everybody is a capitalist. Not everybody is entrepreneurial. Some people just want to work and they're comfortable with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, with what I told you with the backstory and wanting to be free, because I got a digital nomad. I want to be in the Bahamas and upload something and make money off of it. Not confined to the office. So there was no way I was going to spend the rest of my life in a hospital. So I would have jumped. Yeah.
What does the future hold for optometry in terms of technology, being laser, there's AI, there's robotics, and all of those things?
Obviously, technology is advancing at a fairly rapid rate. And things that you would take forever doing, even in practice, you can now take a fraction of the time doing. You can put somebody in a retinal camera, and then with a click of a button, you see the entire retina, the periphery, the central. You can be able it's easier for diagnostics, which is a plus for balwetse, because then I could just plug into something and see into detail, go with the layers of the retina, such that if I'm to make a referral to an ophthalmologist for secondary treatment, so with the advent of technology, it is obviously a positive. I don't think it will come to a point where it will replace the technical expertise, because it is a very technical vocation. So you're going to need an optometrist to those machines. Yeah.
Part of the reason why there's this growth maybe workplace unhappiness, I don't know, people as they grow into their careers, they fall out of love with them, or maybe it just gets boring. You need a bit of, you get tired of doing the same routine every day for 20, 30, 40 years. We've seen, and you've talked about it also, your other things that you're doing in the content creation space. Was that a deliberate move of now you trying to have that balance to your life, or maybe giving room to your creative side, or was it just by chance that happening?
I once read an article, psychology article, that people tend to get bored by doing the same things over and over again. It's mundane.
Yeah.
People, allow me to say this, people tend to get bored of seeing the person they're with over and over and over again. So life gets mundane when you don't change things around you, within you. The only thing that doesn't change, I'm not theological or speaking in this theology space, but hella, with the little that I know, Bible, I the Lord do not change. Because the rest of the world changes. Everything changes. Our passions change. Our outlook on life changes. There's a quote that we like to use, AOC, any man who doesn't change his mind is a fool.
Yes.
So we're prone to change, and doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, you end up being bored it becomes mundane, and that was what was happening for me. Then and I was going through a personally difficult time. So I had acquired a farm early on in my growth, and this farm of mine, but along the road. So every time I drive to work, in the back of my mind, I knew I had a farm somewhere here. But so at the time I was going through a difficult time, I used to pick my daughter Eberako Famung, and we used to cook together. And daughter cooking together, one, it was us bonding. Two, I'm from a family where my mom was big on us eating, and eating together was a sign of love. Food is a love language for me. So I started taking videos of that, and I realized that, I'm actually quite good at creating stories around this. And I'd always been somebody who tells stories, be it composition at school, be it amongst friends. So I did that a lot, and it started paying off. People started liking this thing. But then it nudged at my entrepreneurial side. You can actually monetize this. Now be serious with how you actually put out this content. Be serious with how and what you say. And once you start doing that, then you can sell it. You can market it to brand. For example, I could do something with brand A and start selling, maybe cooking kamashi for a certain brand. Then I'll just package that, ask who's doing marketing at that particular company, and send them the video. Then, this person, we could actually place product. Video ya 2 minutes, o ka tsenya this thing here, o ka bua se leng gore se ka ra motho seri. So essentially I became a mobile billboard. I advertise clients on my platform in a quirky way. Yeah.
So do you see that as a side item, or is it a fully fledged career?
It's turning fast into a fully fledged career, actually, because I've worked in maybe less than a year. I've worked with close to 8 brands now. And at first, obviously, I was new in this industry. $2,000 for this. And the guys were like, yeah, sure. They'll give you $2,000 because they know what they charge on the back end.
Yeah.
Then, obviously, getting to deal with, getting to have conversations with people that are in that particular industry, making moves and making connections and making circles and getting insights. Because one very critical thing, Mobotelong, that I believe in is to be a sponge. You have to be taking in a lot. You can then sieve, okay, this is information that I don't need. This is information that I need, but you just have to take in. So the Berenalibos be go AOC at a camp, and I'm listening. Okay, this is how SB moves. This is how Paco moves. This is how Andy moves. It shows me where the direction that particular trade is going in, and I can see how to plug myself. Because in the world that we live in, there's enough to go around for everybody. You have to just create your own niche. For example, cooking at the farm, Capella Modisa, is something that not many people are doing. And it's something that meets a demand for a certain group of clients. I'm not a photographer, so I'm not, just because I'm in the creative space, I'm not going to eat your side of the pie. I can create my side and have a very fairly sustainable life doing it.
Who coined Modisa and I?
The people. So I used to just shoot videos, and in conversation I'll be like, Modisa and I did this, right? So people started calling me Modisa and I, And I thought it has a ring to it. Let's run with it because that's what people love. I think the most beautiful thing about this journey is that it's totally serendipitous. Totally. Like,
big word. What does that mean?
okay, it's things that you stumble on by chance.
Oh,
But I think I'll give my entrepreneurial background with running the clinic a lot of credit, but also I'm not going to take the limelight and say Modisa and I is what it is purely out of my own intelligence. That would be a lie. Yeah. So stumbled over something and then I was able to grow it.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how has been the balance, the response maybe to the overnight stardom?
Stardom.
Hey, usele buhagiri. You know?
And it's crazy. Maloba, I went to a wedding called Deben, and so I had paid for priority boarding, but I'm not making a lot of money. Priority boarding, I fly safe fare, so
Yeah.
go my 300 rand or whatever. So I woke up to the counter. I get on a line so I woke up priority boarding reha. So the lady's like, "Do I know you from somewhere?" No, aren't you the guy from TikTok? And I was shocked at how great
Widespread,
this thing,
yeah.
how widespread this thing has happened. But it has been bittersweet. But I think it is also because you have to have a very big emotional quotient and a big intelligence quotient if you're going to be running a business. How to handle backlash. Like there was a time people were saying stuff on Twitter that Nale Modisa were in a relationship. Something like that.
Yeah.
There was backlash. This guy out in Modisa about more online. This guy was probably all sorts of stuff. And I had to weather that storm. Other guys were like, "Hey, Modisa is really boring." And of course, like it's like music. There are certain genres you don't listen to because they're boring to you. That's the creative space. That's you can never be everything for everybody. So I knew how to maneuver in certain instances. So when there was backlash, I knew how to handle it. When there was people liking you and giving you all sorts of plaudits and people sliding in your DMs, I knew how to deal with this. So I knew how to handle it. Like I knew, for example, one major scandal. Invite some girl to the farm and I'm putting girls to bed at the farm is going to kill it for brand. So I knew that you have to steer off of stuff like that. So like I said, it's just off of the experience and background, business that I've accumulated over the years.
I also saw you try to limit your kids' influence on the page and on the platform. You have to balance her life with her school life and everything. Because actually she has quite a following, and I've seen some of the responses to your followers. Yeah.
Thinking about it retrospectively, I should have created 2 accounts. I should have created 2 accounts. A Modisa and I account solely for the stories sa Modisa Letsami and Buinelo stories. Because I've got to realize now that brands want the both of us, but these are 2 totally different entities, or these could be put or separated such that they meet different markets. You see, you
can still do it, can't you?
I still can, but I'm just saying, looking at it retrospectively,
Yes,
she could have probably garnered a couple of followers by now.
That's true.
Because people absolutely adore her, and it's raw, it's uncut. She's got a big personality, and I think it could work for her. Unlike my mom, if she was to come and say to me, "Dad, I want to become a digital content creator," I I'm not going to stunt her growth. No, you have to become an optometrist.
Of course.
Of course, we have legacy ambitions. You want to build the clinic such that one of your kids can come and fill the boots and take over. But then with Gen Z, they might not want to do what you're doing, and they will tell you, Marina, stuff that I don't want to do that. So, but you get to realize that you can have multiple streams of income, even olemoto one, and also pursue various industries that are very fulfilling for you. I'm very fulfilled with optometry because I get to become a son to like the old lady today. But before the exam, let me give you a hug on hey, that is a mom. And it's not only a patient. I get that intimate love that makes me feel cozy. But then I get to fulfill my creative itch by digital content creation. And there's nothing stopping anybody from being multifaceted.
I love that. I also love, I think, what our generation seems to be doing. The fact that, my lawyer is from my circle, similar age group, dentist. I mean, my mother and my son's netline. Unfortunately, my vision is that good, so I'm not a patient of yours. Yeah, so, and I think those are some of the things that I think I've seen you speak big on. And you're always about this us growing circles and us being more than just people. But can you just kindly just touch on some of those topics that you've spoken on that speak to that?
I'll credit my mom for pushing me to go to church from an early age. So, Nekeleko Assemblies of God as ele Sunday school at some point. I went to Bible Life at some point. At some point, I've been a church boy growing up, and a lot of principles from the church background were ingrained in me. I don't go to church anymore. Nothing against the church. I think it's just obviously but I was always taught that we were all created in the image of God, right? I think that's Genesis 1:26. We're all created in the image of God.
Yeah, tennis in the school.
And we were always asked to recite memory verses. And Genesis 1:26 speaks to us being made in the likeness and in the image of God, right? So I've always believed that image le likeness it is obviously attributed to his qualities. So I believe that every single person is a creative because God is a creator. So there's no way, you're probably not tapping into it, but you are a creative in some way or form. So it's only how big of it you work on that it can be pronounced. If God is multifaceted and he can be God, I forgot the names, Rapha, Nisi, El Shaddai,
Jaira,
all of that. If he can be God the provider, the keeper, the healer, and all of that, you know, that means in a minuscule form, I can be like him and be multifaceted. I can be a good optometrist, which I am. I can be a good content creator, which I am. I can be a good father, which I am. I could be a good content writer, which I believe I will be. And just this weekend, I was learning a bit of graphic design. And I did a logo for Modisa and people appreciated it.
Oh, nice.
So I believe that I can learn and be a lot of things because I come from a God who is a lot of things and who does it ever so well. Yeah, so it's a very strong principle that I have. I believe in personal development. I've written 2 books about personal development.
You're an author.
I've written 2 books on personal development on my journeys. I've traveled as far as Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, learning certain things that I've also put to pen. So I'm a writer as well, and some people have received my books in an astoundingly beautiful way. So because of those principles that I had always been ingrained with from a young age, also from a Power Ranger of a mom, I believe that is what is holding me throughout to where I am now.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. As we are about to finish this conversation, I'd like for you maybe to talk to that younger self or that young kid, wherever they might be. Maybe a double major of careers like you, if I may so call it, triple major if you had it, because some of the things that I think we've always had was people trying to box us in, and I think you spoke really well to us that we were born of this God who is many things in one, but also, and it's okay to be one thing and then to be another, because I've constantly had people maybe, which one best defines me, and there were times where I was telling people that I think I don't like music as much as I used to, because Botswana, the current situation out there, I wouldn't make as much music as maybe, say, for example, if I was to take up my photography. So those are some of the lessons that I learned. Okay, per hour, this one I get to charge per hour, and but when it comes to personal fulfillment, I think if I had all the money in the world, I'd be a pianist. You understand?
And you're very good at it.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that I'd like for you, maybe as a parting shot, to just speak towards it, and then just just talk to somebody out there, or maybe who wants to pursue one of the many things that you do, be it being an author, be it being a content creator, or be it being an headline. What advice would you give them if they want to be an optometrist, an author, or all of them?
Okay. I think it's one of Newton's laws of mechanics. It deals with opposite and equal. I'm trying to remember year one physics, but that just speaks to balance. That you have to always, in my view anyway, life has happened to me so much so that I know that my take on life or your take on life cannot be gospel, because things change. And unfortunately, we come on podcasts and platforms and we want to impose ourselves and how things have happened to us on everybody else, and telling them that this is, look at, here I am, look at me, go this way. Unfortunately, life does not work like that. I spoke to the fact that I'm not passionate about optometry, but I'm doing it because I know I've got a child to raise. I've got food to put on the table, So you have to have a balance. The world operates on, we're in a capitalist society. We need to make money, and you need to have something that's going to help you make money. There is the Japanese thing, ikigai, where if you get something that makes money and something that you like and something that fulfills you, you're in a sweet spot.
Yes.
But not many of us will get to that sweet spot. So, and we have to be realistic about it. To understand, there are certain things that you have to do so that you can be able to cushion yourself.
That's right.
I'm creating content, Go Massimo. There are brands that are loving what I do. There are brands that want to work with me, but it might not happen in the next 5 years. But I've got a fallback plan. I've got a clinic that has been running for so many years and is keeping the lights on. And it is that clinic that is acting as a trampoline for me to jump and see how high I can go.
I'm with you.
So I could say to a young kid out there that you could be screaming at the top of your lungs, pursue a passion, but there comes a point where you're very frustrated because passion hasn't yet brought you to places where you want to become financially, because our finances dictate how we relate socially. How you have issues, because one of the leading causes of divorce is finances.
That's true.
So you have to be able to get to a point where you balance out these things. But I always get this question, and it's very difficult because then it's going to be received by people that are young and want Bone to use the advice going forward when I'm looking at it backwards. Because unfortunately, we connect the dots backwards. I had to pass through that, then I had to pass through that, all of it leading me here. But the advice I always tell people, even people close to me, is, and I'm going to try to choose my words carefully, is that it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Why do I say that? Because I've seen the mortality of man, having lost my mom, having lost my dad, having lost the kid. I've seen what death happens, and death changes a lot of things. And then when you look at it, sometimes I look at the life of my dad and look at his ambitions, and I always looking at things forward, forgetting to live in the present, and then you don't get to everything that you've always been looking forward to. For example, you log on to any site, they'll tell you about delayed gratification. Delayed gratification works on the premise that you'll be there to enjoy the gratification that you delayed. But sometimes you find that you die before you even get there. So it really doesn't matter. You need to make your mistakes. You need to go through life, and you just need to continuously reinvent yourself. It's not wrong to fail, because it just means you're trying something out, and you might suck at something, or you might be really bomb at something, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's your life. You just have to write as much as you can on that book that is yours, because in 100 years from now, everybody in this room and in this production room will be gone. We'll all be distant memories. How maybe our great grandchildren won't even be remembering who we were. Because according to psychology, we always have these legacy plans because it's hard to be forgotten. That's why we want to make a name for ourselves, such that this name outlasts the test of time. But when you think about it, when you're dead and people remember your name, it's got no benefit to you, right? So the most important thing for me is that you must live your life to the fullest. You must try to stretch yourself to the fullest. I've been in recording studios. I sounded like a toad, like absolutely horrible. But I did it, Yeah. I've got an audiobook out. I've got books out. I've tried it all, because who's gonna stop me, and why will they want to stop me? So just do with the little time that you have. And sorry, if I may add, time is fleeting, and that's the only commodity that we can never really have back, And it never stops for anyone. Even when you're crying and you're going through the worst of days, and you look at the clock, the time is still ticking. It doesn't stop for you. And unfortunately, as we go, every single day, we're going towards the day that we die. So we have to redeem the time. That's why Bible you must redeem the time. Because the time that you have, when it's now taken away from you, you're going to look back and wish that you would have done the many things that you are capable of doing.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Kind of philosopher.
I get that all the time.
Yeah. Kind of, you're a speaker as well. Maybe you should add those to your
I actually was a speaker. I've spoken in South Africa by invite. I've spoken in Tanzania by invite, back when I was still writing books. But then I stopped doing that because of personal traumas. By the time my mom passed, I was doing a national book tour, having speaking engagements throughout the country. But I stopped doing that because I think I'm yet to open that part of me, because it reminds me of the person who was very proud of me for doing it, which is my mom. So hakisiki kinisho. But everywhere I have the chance to impart a bit of myself, which could be beneficial to anybody, I do that.
That's what's up. And I think that's it, man. This has been a very interesting conversation.
Thank you for having me.
I think we should definitely visit you at the farm.
You should.
To go and do maybe a pod and maybe have that, and then maybe one of the days also we go to the practice.
I'll be happy. I'll be happy to have you. I'll be happy to have you. I'll be happy to have you. Erra.
Sibusiso, thanks a lot for gracing our studios with your presence.
I had tons of fun. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Hey, okay.